Here's another tradition that I think is really beautiful in how the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, addressed situations where someone can go into dysfunction. So he says, be aware of God wherever you may be. So have a sense of this ultimate being, this absolute being in your life that you're trying to connect to. And obviously if you're walking around your day and you're trying to be aware of God in your life, you're going to be sometimes cautious. You don't want to do the wrong thing. And of course, you end up at some point you will end up doing something wrong. That's just the nature of life, is that we fall sometimes. But what happens when you fall? This is what's so beautiful about this tradition. It says, be aware of God wherever you may be, and if you slip, then basically, if you commit a shameful deed, and the word in Arabic is sayyi'ah. Sayyi'ah literally means something that makes your face drop. It's that's why I'm translating it as shameful. Now, what happens if you do something shameful? If you do something and you're disappointed in yourself, you sort of close off, don't you? You feel like this. And that can become compounded, and what happens to people is that they end up going into chronic shame. And chronic shame is like a shutdown response, whereby you don't want to you just want to run away from the world. You don't feel alive in yourself. And so the prophet sort of addresses this issue. He says, whenever you do a shameful deed, what should you do? Follow it up with a beautiful one, a hasana. People translate it as a good deed, but hasan literally means something that's beautiful, that makes you open up to the world. Because beauty creates curiosity. You know, if I'm sitting there depressed, and I'm such an idiot, I'm a loser, and then this beautiful, I've got to be careful with my examples here. This beautiful cat walks past, and I go, oh. What's happened? Can you see the physiological reaction? You're in a shutdown response, and then you recognise something that's quite beautiful, like you connect to. It makes you come out of that shutdown response, and you want to connect. And so the prophet's addressing this issue. When we go into a shutdown response because of something we've done and we feel bad about it, don't mull over it, because that make it worse, and you'll just keep going wanting to shut down and feel bad about yourself. Rather, do something good in the world. Do something beautiful in the world, and it brings you out of that shutdown response, and it actually makes you feel good about yourself. So this is a psychological approach to how to deal with chronic shame. It's quite beautiful. Is that make yourself feel like you're bringing goodness into the world, and it will make you feel good about yourself. And then he says, and this is the arena of personal development and working in yourself and exploring yourself, and deal with people with good character. Because it's in interacting with other people you really learn to grow and learn about yourself and be able to achieve your potential. You know, you can't be spiritual and hate people. You know, I love God. God, I love you. I just can't stand your creation. You know, it's like, you know, that typical stereotypical English guy living on the Costa del Sol say, love the Costa del Sol. Spain's brilliant, isn't it? But why can't all these people speak bloody English? You know, it's like you love the place, but you can't stand the actual inhabitants. And someone who's spiritual is engaged with the creation. And I believe this fundamentally from my own personal experiences. If you want to experience God, you have to experience what it's like to be. If you want to experience intimacy with God, you have to be intimate with another human being. If you've never experienced what it's like to connect to someone and fall in love with them and be intimate with them, then you'll never know what it's like to actually connect to God. It's through creation that we learn about God and we learn about ourselves. And I said mental health is all about connection to yourself and connection to others. And we are hurt and we are wounded in relationships, and we heal in relationships. And that's, if anyone's not married yet in this room, then just a forewarning for you is that the most intimate relationship you can ever have with a person is your mother and your father. They're the first real intimate relationships you have. And those sort of, and obviously our caregivers, God bless them, they never do a perfect job, and we never do a perfect job. So we're scarred sometimes in our relationships. And then we get married, and that's the second most intimate relationship, those wounds that haven't been dealt with will manifest in our relationships with those people. And so and what often happens in relationships is people they can't deal with having to, address those issues. They'd rather just blame the other person or blame the circumstances and run away from that. Where really, intimate relationships show us what are the issues we need to deal with. So I really believe that relationships is the arena to heal our deepest wounds, and we get to explore where the work is.